Okay, so let's take a look at this problem. You're given a coded matrix or message, and that's encrypted, so we'll call that E. And you're also given the coding matrix, which we'll call C. And we know that the encrypted matrix is the result of coding some sort of message. So we know that at some point our code was multiplied by message or our message by a code, and that gave us E. And we know that E is 2 by 6 and C is 2 by 2. And you know that because there are 2 rows, 2 columns, 2 rows, 6 columns in E. And we want to end up with 6 columns in E when we multiply C by M. So we already know that M times C isn't going to work because we're going to end up with 2 columns if we multiply those. So it must be that M is 2 by 6. And we know that because the innermost dimensions have to be the same, and the outermost dimensions will become the dimensions of the product. So 2 by 6 is 2 by 6 over here. So this is going to help us later, so we'll just take a note. At some point, we multiplied C by our message, and we got this encrypted matrix E. And there's a property of inverses of matrices that says that C times its inverse is the same as its inverse times C, which equals 1. And we can use that fact to say that the inverse of C times M, and since we multiplied this all the way on the left, we have to do the same over here, equals the inverse of C times E. And as we said, this is just 1. So we're going to be left with M equals C inverse times E. And that's what we want here. This is going to be our unencrypted message. So once we solve that, we'll be able to decode whatever this message is. So all we really need to do here is first find C inverse, and then second, multiply C inverse times E. So now that we know what we're doing, we could use the fact that C inverse just equals, and if you know how to calculate the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix, then this is relatively simple. You have AD, which is in this case 1 times 5, minus BC, which is 2 times 3, times, you swap A and D, and then you negate B and C. And when you calculate this out, you're going to have 5 minus 6, so negative 1 in the denominator. That's just going to leave you with a negative 1 times what we had here. So it's going to give you negative 5, 2, 3, negative 1. And that's part 1. And then in part 2, you're going to multiply C inverse times E. And we know we could do that because C inverse is a 2 by 2 and E is a 2 by 6. So this is going to give us a 2 by 6. And I will leave that up for you to do. If you need any help with that, just let me know and I'll respond as soon as I can. But this is a matrix multiplication. So if you've done this before, it's just how you would normally multiply matrices. But this is going to give you M, which is your unencrypted message. And that's really what you're trying to get out of this problem here. So again, if you've got any questions on that, just leave a comment and I'll get to it as soon as possible.